Hello everyone, it's Angry Birds Freeze King here, and today I am going to do another streetlight video, but not on these streetlights right here. I'm going to do a video on this streetlight right here. How about we look at it and review it today, shall we? This is my 2010 Cooper OVD 300 watt high pressure sodium streetlight. Now a little history on how I got this streetlight. So here in Cincinnati, we're doing a lot of construction on the highways, and they've been expanding our highways. So this light right here was one of many Cooper OVDs that was being taken down, and they actually were throwing them in a dumpster in an open park where I went and just dumpster dived and got this light. So it was pretty simple getting this light. So this streetlight was on a highway, and I can put up some pictures real quick too on the screen here and show you what highway it is. But if you live here and you know the area, these were actually over on 75 over by Evandale, where the new Menards is and where General Electric actually is. So pretty nice. There's actually a lot of M400 R3s there. There were also some M1000s from the 1970s that were there, as well as a couple other various models. So this street light, since it was a highway light, it actually didn't have this photocell here, and I wanted one with a photocell. Since this was the only one I was able to get, I decided on just installing a photocell. And I'll show you actually the photocell I installed. So the Photocell Socket is a Cooper photocell outlet, and I'll show you how I put it on, but it is the same brand, so it does work with this light. Anyway, as you can kind of tell, and I'll also explain this in a minute, I did repaint it, but the bottom door isn't repainted. It's actually dirty still, and you'll see some problems, and I'm actually going to show you some problems I had with the door. Also, the lens isn't original to this light. This is probably a Kraus-Heinz lens. This isn't a Cooper OVD lens, and I'll also show you why it's not, and the problems I also had putting this in. But anyhow, let's go ahead and go over the light. So one thing I'd like to mention right off the bat is this is one of my favorite streetlights of all time. One, because I love the way it's designed. It's a very simple, very flat design. It's nice and round, and it has a very modern style to it. And I'm actually sad. So if for all you guys who don't know and are just learning about this light, they actually discontinued the Cooper OVD back in 2017, and they were actually replacing some highway lights with some newer posts, I guess just to give everything an upgrade, with these Cooper OVDs. So we actually have some of the last versions of them that exist here in Cincinnati. But this is a 2010, so it's definitely not the last version, but it's a little bit older. It is a very nice light, and I do like the halophane lens. It just goes great with this light, and it almost makes it look like this light's happy. So it's a very nice, very simplistic design, and there's just lots of nice stuff I want to go over about this light. First of all, let's go over the photocell here. So the photocell that I did at least put on this light, it's just one of the standard DTL photocells I get. I have a place where I go and get parts every once in a while, and they usually throw these photocells away, and I get a lot of them that work. So I have a lot of these DTL photocells just laying around. They're pretty common. But since this light is from 2010 and I came across this 2010 DTL photocell, I thought it would make sense to put this 2010 photocell on it, since this is from 2010. So it is pretty suiting. However, it is a standard DTL photocell, and I seem to get a lot of these, so it's not too exciting, but it's okay. As for the photocell socket, so there is a base on this light already where there would be a photocell, but there wasn't any holes drilled. So what I did was I got a photocell socket from a different Cooper light. I actually got it from a Cooper OVX that unfortunately had a burned up transformer in it. Poor light. But I took it off that, and I drilled a nice little big hole with a drill bit that I actually have over here. I used this drill bit right here to drill a nice perfect hole in the top, and then I drilled some smaller pilot holes for the screws to go in that were just slightly smaller than the actual screw threads. So once the photocell socket was inserted, I went ahead and put the screws in, which actually, since this is aluminum, it embedded some threads into this metal for me, which is great because now there's threads in this and I can take these right out nicely. So if you don't know how this photocell socket adjusts, is unscrew these screws just a little bit to where this can start spinning, and then you take a big flathead screwdriver and you can just twist it and turn it, and then once you have it in the position you want, you just screw the outer edge back down and it clamps it down. Since this is a Cooper photocell socket on another Cooper light that never had one before, I have to say it works just like it actually would on a light that already has it. So even though this didn't have a photocell socket on it before, the one that I got for it works exactly how it should. It stays tight and it definitely stays screwed down. So if any of you guys get a Cooper brand light and you want to add a photocell socket to it, if you ever come across another Cooper photocell socket, you can easily install this on this light and it'll function just how a Cooper photocell socket usually does. So very happy with that. Anyway, put that back on. And now we can go over the inside of the light. So to open this luminaire, all you gotta do is undo this latch right here, and then it opens. Now, the older versions of the Cooper OVD, instead of having this handle that you open right here and undo, they actually have a different system that all the other Cooper lights seem to have. And I'll show you actually what it is. So instead of that, they actually have this design right here that you use to open it. They have this latch that clamps in. So I think all the Cooper lights after 2000 at least 8 or 9 switched over to this design, and I will have to admit I like this a lot better because it's just a lot easier to open. And I can show you some examples right now. Like my GE light has this, my A3, and it just easily comes off. Sorry. And then I can just push that back on and it clamps right back in easily. Same with my A2 that you guys have seen in my first video that I've done of one of this. It just comes right off. It's a little older, so this one's a bit tighter. Lights that have the hinges, even when they're newer, sometimes they can be hard to open. Like this is a little bit more forceful. Same with actually this. It can be a little bit tighter sometimes. Not too bad. Same with the OVD. Of course, my Westinghouse here has that style of latch as well, and it's just so nice. The American lights aren't too bad, and the Westinghouse lights are okay. However, I think every light that has this is definitely nice. It's so mechanical and it's so easy to open. But yeah, that's the latch right there, and I'll go ahead and show you how it would open. Of course, if I had a stand, which I still don't, I could do a much better shot of this. But of course, as usual, you just undo that, bring it over and up, and the refractor door is off. Excuse me. Now that that's off, I can show you the inside of the light here. So some small things that we got. You got your ground screw right here. You got your clamp that you screw down. Of course, you got some steps here to make either the light go upward or downward. And you got your sticker. Mine doesn't have the little wiring diagram sticker, it just fell out. But I at least have the actual sticker that shows, you know, the information and stuff. So, as usual, it says Cooper Lighting at the top. You got your numbers, you got your voltages. It does say 120 for line volts, but it is kind of a multi-tap ballast, and I'll show you in a second. It actually can do 480 as well, but I'm not doing 480 for this light. Anyway, you got your lamp type, ballast type, watts, all that important stuff, and of course the date. And as you can see, it is from 2010. I don't understand why dates are in codes, but at least this one is more obvious. So it is from 2010. Anyway, over here we got your terminal block. I do like these terminal blocks. They're made of a really nice, really thick plastic. You got your screws, your screw clamps that you screw in. You just stick your wires in there, and then it crimps them down once you screw them down. And as usual, one thing I'm going to start mentioning is most streetlights have these nice plugs, so you can easily modify them and switch things around if you have to. But since that photocell was added, I will show you. So since that photocell was added, this wire right here actually goes into the terminal block first. So the wire going out goes into the photocell. Then you got the red wire right here. And one thing that I like that Cooper does with their lights is they have these nice splice blocks. So then when if this light had to be retrofitted, kind of like my OVG upstairs, how I showed you, you don't have to cut, splice, and actually like permanently change the light. You can easily just disconnect these terminals from each other and literally just connect the hot coming out of this into the hot going in there. Same with the neutral. You connect the neutral coming out of the light into that. And then you can leave all this stuff in here without cutting everything out and making it so that it's not reattachable in the future, if it has to, which is not really very likely. But that's really nice, because if I do want to put, if I do want to test out like an LED corn bulb in here, or some fun color changing bulb like my OVG, I can easily, when I'm done with the color changing bulb and I want to put it back to this, I can easily switch everything back to the way it was, exactly and perfectly. So really nice to have these splice blocks. They are really helpful. This light didn't have them, of course, on all the terminals since there was no photocell. So with the Cooper OVX that I got the parts from that were damaged, I just took all these parts out. Anyway, really awesome. But like I was saying, your red wire comes out, goes into a terminal splice block right here, and then the hot twists around and goes down to our terminals here. As you can see, it is partially multi-tap. I have it currently hooked up into the 120 volt. Excuse me, my voice is starting to deteriorate. I currently have it hooked up into 120 volts. Now, when it was originally hooked up on the actual post, it was hooked up for 480 volts, and that is what they use for a lot of highway lighting. 480 is very popular, but it's nice to be able to hook up to 120 because you actually can't do 480 in a house, so that isn't possible. But moving on, of course, coming off your transformer, you got your other components, such as your capacitor. It's a pretty standard capacitor, so I'm not really worried too much about it. Also, you got your igniter here, and I do like the Cooper igniters. They're very, very basic, not too complicated, and they just screw right in. So honestly, if I had to replace one of these, it'd be easy to switch. So yeah, pretty nice. Moving on up from that, we'll go over and up into our reflector here, where our high pressure sodium bulb is located. The wires that go into this just come into the back here, and the socket faces out this way. So to adjust your socket, you need to just undo these screws. The screw just kind of sits in between these holes here, which kind of actually keeps it stable. To adjust it, of course, you just undo this screw and then you lift it and kind of bring it over and bring it back down. It's the same setup on the other side. It's equal on each side. One thing I do like about the OVD, and probably one of the best reflector designs, is the way this reflector is made. So they definitely equipped and shaped this for a high pressure sodium bulb, because high pressure sodium is a long straight tube. So having a reflector that's longer than the width is going to help to bring that light back the other way and really reflect this light. So it is definitely a really good design. It definitely aims the light in the directions it needs to, so I do like that. One thing that's probably a little bit lower quality but isn't too bad is this insulated gasket, which is not even really a gasket, it's just a like a seal type thing. The Cooper OVDs that they were throwing away, these just were ripping right off. Even on some of the ones that seemed newer, it was just coming off pretty badly. So what I of course did is clean this and just hot glued it back on like I do with all my other ones. The hot glue method is really good. But yeah, these, even though these are pretty nice, they don't really stay on, they just fall right off. Not too bad though, it's okay. Anyway, over here, back to our socket, we socket base. We got the socket here. I do like that Cooper uses Leviton sockets. I think Leviton's a really good brand. Really nice. Of course, you can see some of the readings here. You got the 310 watts high pressure sodium from Cooper Lighting. This doesn't really have a date on it, but that's okay. So yeah, pretty nice. The light bulb I'll be using for this light, for this video, and for just general display is this GE Lukalux bulb, 310 watts. When I got this light, I also got a whole ton of high pressure sodium bulbs. As you can see, it says Lukalux 310 watts on the etch. I got a whole ton of high pressure sodium bulbs in a box right up there behind my light. That brown cardboard box is just full of 400 watt, 200 watt, and a few of these 310 watts. Now, 310 watts is a pretty common thing here in Cincinnati on the highways. I know there's only a couple other cities in the United States that actually use them, such as Chicago on their cutoff lights. And I think maybe it's in Los Angeles or Las Vegas, something like that, that also uses 310. So Cincinnati is another common place you'll find 310. Some areas it doesn't have it. The new OVDs that they put up recently here in 2017, they are not 310. They are 250 watts high pressure sodium, but some parts of downtown have the 310, so pretty awesome. I'm definitely impressed with this design. I will show you one flaw that I found in the door over here, and I'll explain a couple of the flaws. So, one thing I had trouble with, so this door right here is another replacement. I got off another OVD, and the one I got actually came with a level gauge on it, and I'll show you that in a second as I go over that. But this door right here is the one I repainted and finished. But the problem I had with it was when I tried to put this replacement lens on, and I'll tell you why this lens sucks in a second, it actually didn't fit. And the reason why that new lens didn't fit was because the glass was slightly more dense. And then what happened was, when I tried to bend this piece up right here that keeps the refractor in, I actually ended up breaking it. So I went ahead and got another door, and that came off a 200 watt high pressure sodium Cooper OVD. I got another door, and it was kind of sad because I had just repainted this whole door right here, and I put a brand new 310 watt high pressure sodium label on it. But now I won't be using that door. That door will be going in the trash after this video. So yeah, it's too bad. That is, of course, I think a Krauss-Heinz lens. It's definitely not a Westinghouse because it doesn't have the W. However, like I said, the glass is more dense, and I'll show you a couple reasons why. And one reason why it is more dense is because when they were throwing these OVDs away, I had a hard time coming across one that actually had a good lens, and I finally just found one where the lens just kind of came apart in chunks. But the reason why it broke to begin with is because this glass is a lot thinner, which means that it's more fragile. So they were throwing the R3s away and some of the other lights that I told you about, and their lenses were perfectly fine, even though they were being cramped and scuffed under each other. But all the Cooper OVDs seemed to have shattered lenses. And let me take this off, and I'll definitely show you the density difference in the light. It's also a hassle to take this off too, so it's hard. I actually screwed these down too tight, so that was kind of my fault. So I'll go ahead and show you the process. I had to tighten these down. It's actually funny because even with these tightened down, there is actually a gap still. Sorry about that. But let me get this out. Yeah, and this lens is actually snug under those. I'm not going to bend them nothing just in case I break them again, because I don't want to go get another door. I've actually gone through 3 doors. The first one cracked. These were cracking. The second one, of course, you can see that thing, like I said, broke. And hopefully this one doesn't have any problems. Anyway, let me try to pull it out. Ugh. It's just so snug under here. I'm having a lot of trouble. See, it's just not sliding out. Let me take this off real quick and I'll show you the density issue. Anyway, I got the lens off. As I'm gonna attempt to try to put it back on smoothly, but as you can see where the paint kind of pressed into it too. It just doesn't. You can see it's not catching it, and it's not sliding correctly. If I'm not showing you a good angle, you can kind of see it's just not. See, I'm pulling it back, and it's just not catching it. But if I take this away and bring over this lens right here, set this in here. There's actually a difference in the glass texture too, now that I'm looking at it again. But I'll show you. See, it just, even though this is broken, you can see it catches. And now the lens is sitting. And like I said, that is because the lenses that they made for the, at least I think for the later OVDs, it's made of a much thinner glass. Although it is the same exact shaped lens, that glass density makes it so much harder to put these lenses on, these older lenses on. I'll go ahead and put them next to each other. So one thing you can see right off the bat is the lens on this is a little bit more hazy looking, and that's because they put like a hazy texture on it, and you can see this one's a lot more clear and shinier. But if I come up close and show you, I'm sure you can already see that difference. But if I put my finger here, you can see my finger jumps up and jumps down. And that is because the glass, like I said on this one, is much thinner than this one. So trying to put this one on, it actually won't fit because of the way the Cooper OVD is made. It's not made to take the older lenses. So it is very frustrating trying to put that on a newer light that is made to actually have a slightly less denser version of it. Now, I don't know why that's less dense or why they decided to do that. Probably just to save on glass. Cooper has always been one of those companies where they don't make the best stuff, but their stuff isn't the worst either. They're kind of mid-range, so I can kind of see why they did this cheap. They made this cheaper version of the lens. But other than that problem, I mean, as long as this lens isn't being damaged or cracked, it's a good lens. It definitely helps to reflect the light. It's just not good when it gets shattered, because then it's not useful. And I've seen a lot of Cooper, and we have a lot of Cooper OVDs that are installed here in Cincinnati, and I've seen tons of these lenses actually fracture, and then what happens is they just fall out of the light. So you end up with Cooper OVDs that don't have their lenses, and it technically turns them into a cutoff type of looking light. However, despite that problem, that doesn't mean the rest of the light's bad. The rest of the light is really good. It's just the lenses, I think, are shit. And the older Krauss-Heinz lenses are so much better, and it sucks that they didn't continue. Now, I don't know if they did. Like I said, the earlier versions had that hinge, or that thing I pull up on to open it, and they were probably made better, but those are not as good as that. Anyhow, let me go over the rest of that door and show you some things. So, on this door, since this is the newer door, I will at least compare some of the things and explain that some of the things that are on the older one. As for the hinge, for example, this hinge is different on the older version. Instead, what they have is two slots on the side, and then there's two things that come out of this that stick outward and hinge on like that, kind of like how the OVX is. It doesn't have this type of hinge, but on the newer ones they did put this hinge on. I do like this better because this is a much thicker piece of metal, and with those smaller ones they tend to break more easily. So this is a much better design. I'm glad, and I'll mention it too, they definitely try to make improvements on this light, and I'm very proud of them for doing that. The upgrade to this latch right here and the upgrade to this hinge is so much better than the older one. It's more user-friendly and it's easier to work with. Really awesome. Definitely proud of that quality upgrade. Of course, when your refractor's in, these you just screw down and it clamps it in, keeps it in nice and tight. Some, of course, lights don't come with, most lights don't come with this, but of course mine did when it was on that door. But mine has a nice level ball here. Really awesome. It does actually say Cooper Lighting on the back side of this white plate in the middle, but it's just regular font. It's not really anything important. Of course, when you it's up on in the air, you just kind of move it around until that ball sits in the middle. So, and that's how you know your light is level. Now, I see a lot of these here in this part of Ohio, and I believe that's because it's really hilly here. So sometimes it can hard to really tell when things are flat or not. Kind of a balance precaution that they take to make sure these lights are in right. But really nice. I do like this a little aesthetic. It definitely brings some more character into the light, and I do like that. So, of course, now you're wondering, you know, when you got this door, how did you know where to put the holes? Because obviously on this door, this did not have it. Now, one thing I was lucky on, and I'm not sure if they're all like this, is that the holes that I've currently had drilled here, they actually had some divots that looked partially drilled where the holes would be if there were to be one. So I finished off those holes, which is great because then that means that's perfectly in center. And that's how I got it on. I just used the same screws that it was on the older one and they fit. So awesome. And it's definitely showing too that that sticker they put on, they definitely didn't put on center because it's not center at all. This is perfectly center, but the sticker is not. Of course, on the doors with the level ball, they usually put the sticker down there. So really nice. I do love this level ball. And of course, I do have a spare 310 watt sticker. So when I go ahead and repaint this door again, I have a sticker right here. It's a very basic sticker. It's just printed on some printable label paper that has an adhesive side on the back that I can stick and peel it. And of course, since it's just regular paper, I went ahead and clear coated it, and it has a little bit of a texture, but you can pour as much water as you want on this and it will not get ruined. And as you can see, once pasted onto the door, it looks really amazing. So I'm very happy with the sticker. This is definitely something I like. When I actually repainted this and I didn't show it in the last video, I also made a sticker for that because the one that was on it was really bad, and that sticker looks great. So I just take pictures of the original stickers, make a high definition version of them on my computer since I am a graphic artist, of course, put them into Word, make sure they're scaled correctly, and then I print them. So yeah, really awesome. So when said and done, this is what it'll look like. And that's the washer going off, the dryer, excuse me. Anyway, now that that's done, and I'm also done reviewing my streetlight, let's go ahead and hook up this bad boy. Alrighty, I got my Cooper OVD set up here, and I also got it connected to a power cord. Let me go ahead and shut the lights off and turn on that my shelf here. Sorry. You can't always choose the words you want to say, can you? If you hear someone talking, that's just my dad. I also want to turn off the stair light here. We got like 3 light switches up there. One thing I'm going to do, as I usually do, is go ahead and just take some paint tape here and put it over the photocell, because some problems I've been having when recording these, this segment of the video, is when I get to the part where the light's warmed up and I tilt the light over to show you the sine wave, the lights on my light shelf trigger the photocell to turn off. So just to keep that little, just to keep that from happening, having to wait for the bulb to cool down again, I'll just tape it up. But anyhow, this is my Cooper OVD 310 watt high pressure sodium streetlight in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, the light is at its full brightness. Let's go ahead and turn it to its side. We can take a look at that sine wave. Pretty neat. Of course, you can also see it's very, very, very bright. The light behind this, the light is not really there actually. It's kind of there. You can't really see it too much though, because this light gives off so much light. Anyway, pretty cool. If I turn it over just a little bit more, you can see. Yeah, you can see it right there. You can see that nice sine wave slowly moving. It's not moving very fast. Now this is a 4K video camera, so it picks up. It doesn't really pick up the sine wave too much, but you can see it pretty well there. Anyway, great street light. I'm very happy. Go ahead and turn those lights back on now and turn the light off. I'm very, very happy with the Cooper OVD. I think it's a great street light. If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a comment down below, or like, whatever you feel like. If you want to see more videos of these beautiful, beautiful lights. Thank you for watching my video, and have a good day.